So our next speaker, I think I did a bit of an introduction earlier, the definition of taking space. Sewagodimo, are you in? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. Thank you so
Great.
much. So, I think for me, when I was reading your story on Medium and about how you started, how you got into programming and software development,
Yeah.
do you mind just giving us a bit of like insight into that?
Oh yeah. So this is like 10 years ago. So I was in grade 9, and it was during the school holidays, and I was paging through like a book, and there's this one technology book at the time. They had snippets on like old programming like stuff, like digital systems, like binary numbers, printing numbers to a screen, and like old digital stuff. That wasn't like really coding, but it's like a really good introduction like to a low level understanding of how computing system works, how the digital system works. And I was like really fascinated by that. I didn't know why, especially because it felt really, really abstract, but I felt like I could look at a robot and I knew how that system worked. I knew how that little man was displayed. Like I knew how, like at a low level in terms of like the circuits, how stuff worked. And I was really like, I thought that was so cool. Like as it's made me start seeing things a little bit differently. I still hadn't used a computer at this point. I still hadn't actually learned how to code, but I was like very into like the digital stuff. And then when I went to grade 10, I went to high school, and my high school was like, okay, cool. So this is a subject you can choose. It's called IT. You have to choose between. So we had this weird thing where you had 3 optional subjects, and they would call it line 1, line 2, and line 3. And then there was like, they set them up in such a way that you would choose something either artistic or graphic like, right? So I had to choose between art and drama, which was like acting or painting, versus EGD and IT. And I knew that I didn't want to do EGD because they mentioned drawing. So I took IT, but I still did not know like a single thing that I was signing up for. I get to class, they're using computers, and I'm there like, okay, this is awkward. Um, so then I like eventually I learned how to program, and I realized how linked it was to the stuff I'd learned, and it started kind of just feeling like, okay, cool, maybe this is like meant to be, like maybe this is like something that's meant to be, so I should give it a shot. But it wasn't like easy because I didn't know how to use a computer and I was now programming. So I had issues where I couldn't save a file. Like I would write my code, but I couldn't save it. I didn't know how directories worked. So even if I did save something, I didn't know where it went. So I'd write my code, run it, and I'd have to call the teacher to come look at it because I was like, after this, I don't know where it's gonna go. So on Saturdays, I'd actually learn like computer basics. I got my friend to teach me like Word document and stuff. So that was like really interesting, but it was like, I remember that highlighted like the difference between my upbringing and the upbringing of a lot of students in my class. Because a lot of them were like, when we introduced themselves, they'd be like, my dad's a programmer, that's why I'm here. My dad works in IT, that's why I'm here. My mom is in, medicine, and she says, programming is the future, that's why I'm here. And I was like, I didn't want to do EGD, that's why I'm here. And I don't know my full story yet. But like I stuck with it because I realized that I really enjoy it and I really like it. And in the end, it kind of just became like something that I really wanted. And like it gave me satisfaction knowing that I'm here because I want to be here. Like I actually enjoy programming. I love doing this. This is what I want to do.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I think many of us, especially when we tend to choose our degrees, we always look at
Yeah.
what we're familiar with, what we've done. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm good at maths. Let me do a program that's good at maths. I'm good at this. We
Yeah.
always tend to choose something that we're familiar with. But you had no knowledge of computers, no knowledge of IT, and you said,
Yeah.
look, I'm going to take on this subject and we'll see how
Yeah.
it goes. And you grew to love it. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
You're so brave for just taking on a subject of IT that you didn't know about. You're here,
Yeah.
look at you here doing phenomenal things. And
Yeah.
so you co-founded Indoni Space. Tell us a bit about Indoni Space and what you do, the work that you do.
Yeah. So actually with Indoni, like Indoni Developers, we renamed it recently. So what we do is we're women who are software developers. So all of us are women developers, and we wanted to create a space where we could actually talk about coding, where we could talk tech. But then what we kind of struggled with was our social responsibility. Like, do we educate other women, but at the same time we want to create a space where we can grow, because most of us are junior developers. Like, a lot of women like Black women who are developers are junior developers, first generation developers, who we ourselves need mentorship, we ourselves need support, but we feel the social responsibility to educating other women. So the question is, like, how do we find that balance, and how do we create a space where we can also learn and grow, but at the same time we are also helping other women? So we created a space, and what we do is we do two like main things to kind of help out. So the first one is our weekly meetups, where we have a woman who's actually a developer come and they teach us about the stuff that they're working on, and they can make it as high level or as low level as they want. It's just like, tell us about your work, or all the cool, interesting stuff that you're doing. Like, recently we had Tandy, who's doing data science. Like, she came and she talked about machine learning and kind of the processes that they apply. And it was like really fascinating for a lot of us to kind of learn about that stuff, because even as a developer, like, I did machine learning in university, but it was like a 6-month course. So it's not like very intense. But like, for us, it was like still very interesting to find out what data engineers, what data scientists actually do at work, because even as a developer, that feels very foreign. And we also have another one about security. So we have a lady who's coming to speak about security and kind of incorporating security into the design of our applications, how to secure your applications, which is something that, again, as a developer, you don't often think about. Like, we just like work under the assumption that your infrastructure is going to somehow be safe. So it's kind of like stuff like that, where it wouldn't be necessarily beginner friendly. But for me, as a person who's kind of relatively new to the industry, having knowledge like this, having an idea of something like this could be incredibly useful. Another thing that we also do is we do workshops. So we do like full-day workshops where you come in for a day at like 9 all the way till 5. And our goal is like just to give you like intense training in terms of a particular topic. Like, before the lockdown, the one we did was on, what was it on? It was on product design. So we were teaching people like actually how to design products. And what we like about workshops that are based on product design is that even developers can join in on that. Like, right, even as a developer, I still find that information incredibly useful. And I think that it's something that I can incorporate into my day-to-day as a software developer to learn. So that's kind of what we as women who are developers are kind of trying to find ourselves in the middle of.
Oh, that's amazing. And
Yeah.
like you said it's a space for women by women. Do you ever get guys that are like, no, but why can't we as guys? Why don't we also join? Why did you
Yeah,
make
I know.
it specifically for women?
We get that all the time, and we do actually open it up for men to come attend. But what we find is that if you don't say this is for women, women don't come, specifically if it's in tech. So we do go, hey, you can come if you want, it's open. But we know that if we don't say this is a women's workshop, women just don't attend. Like, we've actually tried doing this in previous events where we're like, oh, it's for everyone. But then we realize that only men come. So like, it seems like in tech, the standard tends to be men. And a lot of women, if you don't say women, they don't know that it's for them. And so we kind of become explicit. And if a guy joins, we're like, cool, you can come. Just don't be problematic. But you can totally come. Yeah, because men will ask anyway. Well, men will ask if they can come anyway.
That's amazing. That's really amazing. And I just wanted to ask you, the women that attend these programs, do they have coding backgrounds, or is it open to women from all over, whichever background coming from?
Yeah, so it depends on like the nature of the workshop, right? So when we did our first series, it was like intro to HTML, in which case we were like, if you know HTML and CSS, you don't need to attend this. But the next one will be on React.js, right? So if you may still not know React.js as a developer, so then you can still come, right? So we do the series and we kind of try to highlight the learning outcomes and kind of the prerequisites. For example, for the React workshop, which is the week after the HTML one, if you don't know coding at all, React is probably not the best way to learn. So it kind of just, it depends on the workshop. But again, if you look at the product design workshop, you don't need to know how to code. And coding is actually not a factor. So even if you're a seasoned developer, you're going to learn something. Even if you've never coded before, you're going to learn something. So it really depends on the workshops. And in the invites, we do try to highlight like the skill sets, the requirements, and if it's open for non-developers. And if you haven't coded before, we kind of try to give you resources and links where we're like, hey, this is a Python programming tutorial. You're kind of going to need a bit of Python programming knowledge to join this machine learning workshop. So yeah.
That's really amazing. That's cool. And
Yeah.
is there any way where people maybe could reach you, get your resources? Do you record your sessions, or how? I'm pretty sure that people in the chat room now that are like, where can we get a hold of this?
Yeah.
Of this resources of this. I hopefully
Yeah.
start recording soon, because I think this is a time when people are really excited to learn, especially
Yes.
when are becoming more interested in tech, and they've realized that, you know,
Yeah.
it's possible. This is our time, and definitely
Yeah.
women are starting to leverage
Yeah.
it. So thank you so much. And you
Yeah.
know, I think I was also, as I was going through your Medium, as I was talking, as usual.
You know, I have not updated my Medium in 2 years. So
No, but
my website has also not been updated in 2 years. I'm the worst.
it still has some gems. It still has some gems. You said something like, you know, we have everything we need to achieve our goals. We underuse our inner resources and look for change elsewhere. The truth is, we are the change we have been looking for. That is so
I
powerful.
say that.
That is that's a bar. That's powerful. Like,
Yeah.
just explain when you type this, like, what was going through your mind? Like, what was the message you're trying to get across? If you
Yeah,
could.
I'd also like myself to explain that. But so what I often find is that with a lot of women who are really skilled developers, so I have a lot of mentors who are women developers. And I think that the one thing we tend to see, like the commonality I tend to see, is a bit of a, yeah, but I'm not good enough, right? And this isn't just with software developers, it's with women who are in most industries. We tend to have this thing of, I'm going to wait until I have the perfect set of skills, until I'm good at like management, until I'm good at development, until I'm essentially this perfect person, and then I'm going to put my hand out. And I always try to tell people, there are people with literally not even a quarter of your skills, not even a quarter of your credentials, who are comfortable raising their hands, who are comfortable getting out there. You are so talented. And the fact that you still think that you need to learn more before you raise your hand, before you start your company, before you do that thing, is like, it's insane. And I think that that's kind of like what I'm trying to often like narrate to women, is that stop this like thing of like waiting till you have the perfect set of skills, because what you're going to be shocked is when you look around and you see people who don't even have half your credentials doing twice the amount of things. And that's just because they put themselves out there. They were like confident and comfortable with, you know, not knowing, but at least trying and learning on the way. The truth of the matter is, you'll never start with the perfect set of skills. You'll never, like, there'll never be a good time for you to start programming, right? So you will never be in a position where you have all the skills and what it takes to start. Sometimes it just means starting, doing the things that you're afraid of, and then seeing how it goes, learning on the way, not being afraid to fail in front of people, not being afraid to embarrass yourself, not being afraid that your answer's wrong. Still raise your hand up, still try, show that you want to be here, and believe in yourself and believe in being here.
Yes, and that's true. And I think many of us, you know, we're always using this word, take up space, and all we're doing is putting hashtags, but we're not actively doing it. So I think what she's saying is true. It's time to start actively taking up space. So I think, I mean, as I was going through your Medium, another thing that you mentioned was, you know, mentorship. And I think, do you have mentors? And, you know, what's the role of a mentor? And, you know, what is the importance of mentors in developing our careers or developing ourselves, you know?
Yeah, I think that if you think of a mentor, right? My first real actual mentor was Pi, right? Pi her parents were programmers, and she's now a programmer. She's been programming since she was 12. She's now in her 30s. So that's like over 20 years of software development, like second gen development experience, right? And when she took me under her wing, she taught me so much. And she didn't go to schools, like she dropped out of high school. So she's self-taught all the way. She didn't go to university. She doesn't have a traditional background.
Wow.
And so she was like teaching me. And like at some point I realized that I'm getting 20 years worth of knowledge.
20 years.
In such a limited time, right? I could have done this by myself, kind of ask her to give me a manual and then done what she's done for 20 years, and then after 20 years, I'm where she is. But if she mentors me, I get 20 years worth of knowledge about what's important, what's not important, what to overlook, what's gonna come get me, like what's gonna come for me in 5 years in my career if I don't really understand how things work. And it's just like, it was insane. Like, it's like, there's so much about programming that I was just doing because it gave me results. But she like looked in depth into things. Like, she questioned Git. Like, she was like, this doesn't work in Git. There's so many infrastructurally wrong things about Git that I never thought about. And I didn't even know there were other things like Mercurial that like, it's like what is called source control. And I didn't know that. Like, there were so many things that I kind of didn't understand. But just sitting with her in one session, she would give me like years of knowledge, right? And this is one mentor. This is like one mentor, one person giving you 20 years of their own perspective. And I have another mentor, Mandisa. She's around my age, and she has been programming for like way longer than me. And she's at a point where in a week she can develop an app, right? And she's like, I can do this and this and this, and I can develop this program. It's done. And it's like insane for me when I watch her. It's like, are you really doing this? Like, is this what you're doing? And it's so exciting. But it's also put me in a position where I'm now excited to get to that level, right? I know how I can get to where she is. When I'm building my first stuff, I know that this isn't going to be perfect. This is going to take months, unlike her who can take a week. But what she told me was, your first project will crawl so that your other projects can sprint, so that the rest of your career can fly, right? Your first project is going to be a shit show. It's going to be a mess, but you need that shit show so that, I'm sorry, I'm swearing, but you need that really awful thing.
18.
Yeah. You need that awful thing so that your next ones are never, right? Your next project will never take this long. Whenever I'm frustrated that something's not working, something's taking too long, I feel too stupid, she goes, your next project will never take this long. Your next project will never be this painful. You know, and if it is painful, it's going to be painful because you're improving, because you're learning other things. These parts, you will never struggle with them again.
Yes,
so maybe take that element of celebration that I'm struggling with this right now, but I will never struggle with this again, right? And maybe you need a mentor who can look at you, who knows, who's been in your situation and can tell you that you're frustrated right now, you feel like giving up right now, but you'll never be here again. And this is the learning curve you need to make everything else much better. If you don't finish crawling at this stage, you're never going to end up walking. You're never going to end up running, and you may never fly. So you need to get through this stage. So that's kind of like been like, I would say, like the two most important things that I've learned from like mentorship.
Wow. And I think that's so powerful, and that's so true. And I think people tend to be, you know, how can I find a mentor? Where will I find a mentor? Yeah. Guess what? We have social media now. We have platforms where all it takes is a DM. All you have to do, hi, this is me. Yeah. You know, we have LinkedIn, we have Instagram, we have Facebook, we have everything. Yeah. All it takes is just to send a simple message. And if you get a no, it's okay. It's okay. It's fine. What's the worst thing that could happen? And that's all. I think that's like, you know.
Yeah, I got all my mentors on social media. Oh. Like I DM'd Pi. I DM'd Mandisa. No, actually Mandisa was a part of Indoni space. And then eventually she kind of just naturally took me under her wing. But I met Pi at an event and I DM'd her. But I think what sometimes help, like I think when people reach out to me for mentorship, sometimes what you're asking me is so abstract that I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. Like when someone's like, I'm really struggling with computer science, can you help me? And it's like, that's so abstract. Like, what do I tell you? Like, I don't know how to help you like right now. But I often find like when I approach Pi, I was like, hey, I'm doing this and that and that. I need help with this. I'm not really sure what it means. And also I'm scared that other things will come when I'm doing this project. Can you actually just like can I ask you future questions, right? And what I found was that when you ask those definitive things like, this is what I need help with, it's so much easier for someone to say, this is what I can help you with. Because when you take someone on as a mentor, you're kind of committing to helping them. It's important to know upfront what you're committing to, right? When you ask someone to help you through, it's important for them to know if they can actually commit to it by being clear in terms of what you want. Like sometimes when people ask me for help, I'm like, I don't really know what like when someone's like, can you mentor me? And I'm like, what am I committing to? Like, what are you asking from me? What do you need from me? Can I give that to you? Is there someone else I can recommend to you? I can't know these things if you're not clear about what kind of mentorship you need and what you'd require from me. And sometimes instead of going out and say, can you mentor me? It's better to just say, can you help me with this? Right? If someone goes, I've really been struggling with programming, I'm learning on my own, I'm finding it really difficult, I don't have someone to ask questions, right? Then it's easy for me to go, hey, what language are you doing? What are you learning? Like, how can I help you, right? Because that's a definitive thing that I can help you with, as opposed to mentor me. Mentorship can mean so many different things. Like, what am I actually helping you with? What am I committing to? Can I see, like, based on my timeline and things that I need to do, can I squeeze in time to help you? But what am I actually helping you with?
So really be clear about what you need help with. And it's a commitment, be ready to commit. And I challenge each and every one of you watching this is, find someone who's doing something that you want to do or aspire to do, and send them a message, send them a DM. If they don't respond, then, you can always just study them, study what they do. I know I have mentors who I've never met before, Oprah Winfrey and so many people, Michelle Obama, but I'm still, I learned so much from them. And so and I study them, I study what they do. So I definitely encourage everyone to definitely do that. Thank you so much, Sewagodimo. And do you have any last words or advice for a young woman or a young man or anyone out there, or someone who feels maybe they're too old or too young to learn programming? Do you have any advice for them?
With regards to programming in general, I would say just go for it. See if it's for you, see if it's not. Just like don't go in there saying, I want to build an app, is what I would say, because it takes a bit of time to get to that level. What I would say is just go into it with just curiosity, keep an open mind and be like, hey, let me start with a simple language like Python, right? Like just choose a language, sit through a couple of tutorials. Don't even start coding it. Just like 2 hours, maybe an hour or 30 minutes. Just watch someone coding, kind of get the feel of what is this? What am I expecting out of this? And then at that point, then you can go, I actually like this. I'm a little bit curious. I want to know more. Or you can be like, you know what? Actually, I don't get the hype. So like, just start simple. Don't commit yourself to something. Don't try to do something that's going to end up like drowning you. Just start simple if you're going to start programming. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I want to end it with a quote. Your quote, Sewagodimo. If a girl from Rustenburg, where is Rustenburg, by the way?
Rustenburg is like in the northwest. It's like 2 hours away from Gauteng.
So she says, by the way, for people who are watching this is in Gauteng, is a province in South Africa. So if a girl from Rustenburg can teach herself how to code and end up in Seattle, I think you should go to her Instagram. You see, this girl has traveled everywhere: Kenya, America, Silicon Valley, everywhere. And if a girl can end up in Seattle with some of the best developers in the world, then it is evident that everyone can code. So, Sewagodimo, what does your name mean?
So, Sewagodimo means sent from heaven.
I think you honestly, Sewagodimo, you are doing the Lord's work. You are doing the Lord's work. Thank you for giving back. Thank you for using your knowledge and sharing it with everyone. I'm sure people have learned so much. Show some love in the chat to Sewagodimo. Thank you so much for all the advice and the knowledge. If you have any questions, please drop them in the Q&A, and hopefully she'll be able to respond to your questions.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for taking the time to join us. Bye. So I think we can take a 2 minutes, maybe 2-3 minute break for people to just stretch their legs, get some water, just get your notepads if you don't have a notepad ready, because I hope you're taking notes. Get your notepad ready. Just go get some water, stretch your legs. We'll just take a bit of like a 5-minute break now. Okay.
Greatness. DJ in that tune. Joe Boy.